Welcome to the Global War Watch Network. We're embarking on a truly compelling deep dive today, exploring one of the most remarkable military achievements in recent memory. We're going to unpack a really high-stakes conflict involving India and Pakistan, one where India's predominantly indigenous, deeply integrated air defense systems didn't just perform well. I mean, they performed flawlessly. It was like this shield that just held firm against a pretty determined assault. And this isn't just a story about, cutting edge weapons. It's a profound look into decades of strategic vision, relentless engineering, and a powerful drive for self-reliance. It all sort of culminated in this stunning display of defensive prowess.
Absolutely. Our mission really for this deep dive is to understand precisely how India managed to build such a robust and, well, as events proved, seemingly impenetrable defense. We'll examine the individual systems, the components that form this incredible shield. We'll go from short-range tactical interceptors right up to the long arm of ballistic missile defense. But maybe even more crucially, we'll explore the underlying strategy, the foundational decisions made decades ago by visionary leaders, and the sophisticated central command system that orchestrates every single piece of this complex, multi-layered air defense network. It ensures all parts operate in perfect harmony. It's a truly fascinating case study in how a nation can effectively fortify its skies.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Starting with the inciting incident. It was a truly horrific event, really sent shockwaves through the region. We need to go back to April 22nd, 2025, in Pahalum, a popular tourist spot in Jammu and Kashmir. Well, a group of Islamic terrorists launched this brutal, calculated attack. The details are chilling, actually quite difficult to talk about. They forced civilians to recite the Kalima, the Muslim oath of faith. Then they separated the Hindu visitors from the Muslims. And what followed was just unthinkable barbarity. They brutally murdered the Hindus. 26 innocent people lost their lives. There's this heartbreaking detail. A Muslim tour group, they were right there. They even tried to intervene, tried to stop the bloodshed. But it was no use. And after committing these atrocities, the terrorists just fled across the border, back to the camps in Pakistan they came from. It was a stark reminder, wasn't it, of that enduring threat of cross-border terrorism.
It really was. And India's response to this heinous act, well, it was swift and decisive. Dubbed Operation Sinandar, a name that will undoubtedly find its place in military history. It involved precise, targeted strikes against those terrorist bases located deep inside Pakistani territory. Now, this wasn't an indiscriminate attack. That's crucial. And there's a point of significant strategic importance. India deliberately avoided any civilian casualties in these retaliatory strikes. That showed a highly calculated, disciplined approach to their response. Aimed squarely at the perpetrators, their support infrastructure, not the Pakistani people. It was a clear message delivered with precision.
And, well, as you might expect, right? That swift, decisive action from India led to an almost inevitable escalating retaliation from Pakistan. The chaos really erupted starting May 7th, and it culminated in a full-blown onslaught by May 10th, 2025. We're talking waves upon waves of Chinese-made PL-15 missiles, advanced fighter jets, various drones, all launched out of Pakistan, all heading towards Indian airspace. The question on everyone's mind then, and probably still today, was, would Pakistan genuinely risk an all-out war over these terrorist groups? The stakes just couldn't have been higher, especially in a neighborhood, armed with nuclear weapons.
But what's genuinely striking here is the level of preparedness India showed. Just incredible. Despite these intense barrages, virtually every single incoming threat was neutralized. You had interceptor missiles just racing skywards across the border region, leaving trails of fire and smoke as they, found targets. The contrast in performance, stark. And critically, it highlighted India's strategic independence. Pakistan's arsenal, which, get this, is 82% comprised of Chinese-made weapons, largely failed. We saw widespread malfunctions. Many of their missiles and drones simply didn't make it beyond the front line, or they were just, easily picked off. The sheer volume of debris found on May 11th tells a powerful story. Fragments of destroyed missiles and drones, unexploded Chinese ordnance that had malfunctioned, and even the wreckage of aircraft, including an F-16 and two YF-17s. Can you imagine the Pakistani command centers that day, watching their supposedly advanced Chinese missiles just fall apart mid-flight or get effortlessly shot down? It wasn't just a technical failure. It was a profound blow to their strategic confidence, their reliance on foreign hardware.
And what about Indian losses? Pakistan claimed India lost 6 planes.
Right. When pressed on that, India's Chief of Defense Staff, Anil Chon, emphatically denied it, said it was absolutely incorrect and, frankly, not important information. On the other hand, India confirmed a resounding success, destroying 6 Pakistani fighter jets, 2 high-value surveillance aircraft, 1 C-130 transport aircraft, dozens of missiles, and a multitude of drones. This outcome wasn't just luck or superior pilot skill. The absolute center of this triumph, the system that really proved its mettle beyond any doubt, was something called Akash. And that brings us right to the core of our deep dive, precisely how India achieved this monumental success.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting and, frankly, quite inspiring. The very heart of this undeniable success was the Akash system. You could think of it maybe as India's own Iron Dome, right? And for the first time, it was truly put to the test in the chaos of real combat. What's truly remarkable about Akash and what makes it such a powerful symbol is that it wasn't borrowed. It wasn't bought from somewhere else. This system was born right here in India. Indian scientists, Indian engineers, they created this incredible defensive weapon, a completely domestically produced missile system designed to guard Indian skies, exactly as they'd first envisioned way back in 1983. For Akash, this moment, this conflict, was its inaugural real-world test, and it achieved a perfect 100% success rate. This proved, without a shadow of a doubt, that India is fully capable of protecting itself now and well into the future, independently.
Absolutely. And the origins of Akash are deeply rooted in this strategic vision that began way back in 1983. That's when India launched its Integrated Guided Missile Development Program, the IGMDP. This ambitious program was spearheaded by the visionary scientist Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, famously known as India's missile man. His entire career, really, was dedicated to pushing India towards strength through technological advancement. He firmly believed that true sovereignty, true strategic autonomy, came from self-reliance in critical defense tech, especially missiles. Beyond Akash, the IGMDP also developed other crucial missile systems like Prithvi, Trishul, Nag, and Agni. Now, the program officially concluded in 2008, but these systems, together with Akash, they represent nearly 4 decades of pioneering Indian missile research. They're more than just weapons. They're profound expressions of Indian sovereignty, a testament to the transformative power of science, of indigenous innovation, to change a nation's destiny. All of them, except the Trishul, are still in active service today. They form the bedrock of India's conventional deterrent.
And the central figure in actually bringing the Akash system to life, guided by Dr. Kalam himself, was Dr. Pradar Ramarao of the DRDO. That's the Defense Research and Development Organization, India's premier agency for military R&D. Dr. Kalam specifically appointed Dr. Ramarao as the director of the Akash program right from the start, began with a tiny team, maybe 20 scientists, and grew it into this massive undertaking involving thousands. Dr. Ramarao championed this, radical idea at the time, of an entirely indigenous missile system, one that could meet India's unique and complex strategic demands. He famously described the 4 pillars of a successful missile: speed, agility, lethality, and intelligence. These weren't just abstract concepts, right? These principles informed every single aspect of Akash's design and development, from the early stages to its most advanced variants. It's truly a story of foresight and just unwavering dedication.
Yeah, it really is. Let's delve into Akash's impressive technical capabilities and how it evolved, because understanding the how gives us insight into its battlefield success. The original Mark I variant, tested between 1990 and 1997, it boasts an engagement range of about 25 to 30 kilometers, and it can reach a pretty formidable top speed, around Mach 2.5. That's 2.5 times the speed of sound. It was specifically optimized to intercept incoming enemy fighter jets, cruise missiles, and larger drones. Basically, the most destructive aerial threats an adversary could throw at India. The missile itself uses a single-stage solid fuel propulsion system, propels it to supersonic speeds in just a few seconds.
And the launchers, are they standard across the board?
Well, they vary slightly between the Army and Air Force, reflects their different operational needs. The Army's version is mounted on a T-72 tank chassis, built to keep pace with the armored columns it protects on the ground, while the Air Force uses a towed launcher mounted on a Tata truck, designed for full automation, remote control for static defensive airfields, strategic sites, that kind of thing. Both variants can rotate 360 degrees and fire 3 missiles each. The Army's launcher elevates from 6 to 60 degrees, Air Force's fires between 8 and 55 degrees, gives them flexibility based on deployment and target altitude. These mobile units are supported by a whole fleet of specialized vehicles too. Missile transporters, loaders, maintenance units. It allows an Akash battery to operate autonomously in the field, even in contested environments.
Okay, but what really made it so effective in May? The guidance, the
Yes,
radar.
exactly. What truly made Akash so effective was its sophisticated guidance and control systems, particularly its radar. The system acquires targets up to 80 kilometers away using the Rajendra radar system. This is a multifunction phased array fire control radar, meaning it uses an array of tiny antennas to steer radar beams electronically. Allows it to rapidly scan and track multiple targets without physically moving its antenna. It's incredibly advanced tech. It's capable of tracking and targeting up to 64 airborne threats simultaneously and guiding up to 12 missiles at once. This incredible capability was famously shown off in a December 2023 test. Akash made history then, becoming the first missile system globally to intercept 4 targets simultaneously from a single launch. The original Akash Mark 1 missile relies entirely on command guidance from the ground station. It receives continuous instructions from the Rajendra radar right up until impact. Doesn't need its own onboard seeker.
But they've improved on that since, right? Made it more autonomous.
Oh yes, advancements have definitely been made. The Akash 1S variant, first tested in 2019, incorporated an onboard radar. This allows the missile to autonomously track targets during the terminal phase of flight. Makes it more resilient to jamming, gives it a higher kill probability against maneuvering targets. Then a proximity fuse ensures precise detonation near the target, maximizing the kill probability without needing a direct hit. Following the 1S upgrade, DRDO introduced the Akash Prime in 2021. This was a refinement, optimized for harsher environments, especially alpine regions like the Himalayas. It features an X-band monopulse RF seeker with 360-degree engagement capability, significantly improves accuracy against maneuvering targets, performs exceptionally well in high-altitude, low-temperature conditions where other systems might struggle.
And the future, Akash NG, next generation.
Right, Akash NG. Under development since 2016 represents a serious leap forward, designed to be lighter, smarter, more agile, but still packing a punch. It'll feature a dual-pulse solid rocket motor. What that means, simply, is the missile can fire its engine in 2 bursts. Allows for more sustained thrust, precise control throughout its flight. This translates not just to greater range, extending significantly up to 70 kilometers, far outdistancing earlier models, but also more agile terminal maneuvers against evasive targets. Unlike previous versions, Akash NG will feature an onboard active electronically scanned array radar seeker, an ISO radar. That's not just a fancy name. It offers unparalleled tracking precision, resistance to electronic jamming, gives the missile true fire-and-forget capability, a much higher probability of hit against even sophisticated threats. It will also be canister-launched. Faster reaction times, safer sealed storage. Optimized for agility, integrates mid-course updates via data link, designed to perform terminal maneuvers with enhanced agility against even the most evasive threats. This evolution shows a clear path towards increased autonomy and capability.
So what does this all mean for India, beyond just the stunning combat performance? Akash holds profound significance, doesn't it? It stands as one of the nation's first truly fully indigenous defense systems, and notably, it's the first to be deployed across all service branches: Army, Navy, Air Force. That's a crucial milestone in India's broader drive towards self-reliance, that vision encapsulated in Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self-reliant India. It means they built it themselves, for themselves, and crucially it works. Demonstrates a complete vertical integration design, development, and manufacturing.
Indeed. And the Akash program isn't just a defensive asset, it's an economic and industrial success story too. Its cost-effectiveness is truly remarkable. According to reports, the missile was developed at roughly 10% of the cost of similar systems developed elsewhere. Furthermore, each Akash missile is estimated to cost only about 1/3 the price of other missiles in its class. This low cost, combined with 100% domestic manufacturing, has made it incredibly efficient. Over 200 Indian firms are involved in its production, showcasing a robust domestic defense industrial base, creating jobs, fostering local expertise.
And it's being exported too, right?
Before the May conflict, yes. Akash had already become India's first exported missile system. Armenia purchased 15 units in 2022 for about $720 million. Countries like the Philippines, Vietnam had also shown interest. But the overwhelming success seen in May has undoubtedly put Akash on the global stage. The whole world is looking closer now. It has unequivocally proven itself as one of the top medium-range interceptors on the market today, and its development continues. Akash, primarily produced by Farhat Dynamics Limited in Hyderabad, stands as this enduring symbol of India's technological maturity. Its refusal to depend on external suppliers for critical national defense. It's a powerful testament to Indian engineering and, of course, to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the missile man, and his enduring vision of a technologically advanced, self-sufficient nation where courage and hard work truly can change the world.
And the reaction of Dr. Ramara, the man who led the program?
Yes, after seeing his baby, as he called it, work so accurately, so beautifully for the first time in real combat, Dr. Prada Ramaro, his apprentice, the man who led the Akash program, he was deeply moved. He told TV9 he had tears in his eyes watching his creation protect people, intercepting those enemy aerial targets with such precision. And he closed his interview with a powerful message, echoing Dr. Kalam's philosophy: live in peace and grow in technology. It really highlights the human element behind these incredible technological achievements, doesn't it?
It really does. That captures the heart of Akash's triumph. But as you said, it's just one piece. A very important piece, but still part of a much larger, incredibly sophisticated puzzle. So as we zoom out, how does a system like Akash fit into India's truly sprawling defensive architecture? Because as profound and effective as Akash is, it's just one part of the sprawling web of interlocked defensive architecture, layered like armor over the entire Indian homeland. At its heart is the principle that, well, no single missile system can do it all. So India didn't just build one system, they built a flexible, multi-tiered community of defense. A comprehensive approach designed to catch everything: low-flying cruise missiles, insidious suicide drones, high-altitude ballistic warheads, everything. Short-range systems like Akash and VLSRSAM guard the gates, protect specific points. Medium-range platforms like Barak 8 and QRSAM cover broader arcs, act as the workhorses. And then, above them all, beyond the edge of space, are these strategic long-range ballistic missile interceptors, capable of reaching deep into enemy territory before any threat even sees the Indian border. And at the very top of that sophisticated web sits the Russian S400 Triumph. On May 10th, the system reportedly shot down a Pakistani F-16 near the elite Sarat Air Base, a staggering 180 kilometers inside Pakistani territory. But that wasn't all. In another absolutely incredible feat confirmed just last week, the S-400 downed a Pakistani AWACS plane at an astounding 314 kilometers. That set a new world record for air-to-air interception by a ground-peak system. Just phenomenal range.
And that specific incident, the S-400 engaging, targets hundreds of kilometers deep inside Pakistan. It really highlights an aggressive, but, from India's perspective, necessary application of their defensive doctrine. In this strategy, a long-range interceptor isn't merely an active attack. It's a crucial defense against an enemy loaded with missiles and bombs that would undoubtedly have been headed for India otherwise. It's a tactical reality. The S-400 reached deep across the border and eliminated a dangerous threat before it could even initiate an attack. The insight here is that it fundamentally redefines defensive posture. It shifts the battlefield's front line far beyond actual borders. It enables what was once considered purely offensive long-range interdiction to become a critical component of national defense. This single engagement provides a powerful blueprint, really, for how nations can project defensive power without necessarily crossing into offensive action.
And this capability comes from the S-400 deal with Russia back in 2018.
That's the foundation, yes. Back in 2018, India signed that $5.43 billion deal with Russia for 5 full S-400 regiments. Each regiment is comprehensive: 16 launchers, a command post, engagement radars, acquisition radar, all the support vehicles, everything needed. So 5 regiments mean India will have as many as 80 launchers, each capable of firing 4 missiles. Once India receives the remaining 2 regiments from Russia, expected by 2026, according to the Russian Deputy Chief of Mission in India, Roman Babushkin, they'll possess a formidable force. Up to 320 missiles ready to fire at any given moment. Babushkin has even hinted at more sales to come, highlighting that continued strategic relationship. Now, this purchase triggered a global stir, didn't it? The U.S. notably opposed the deal, threatened sanctions under QRSAM, but India moved ahead anyway, banking on its geopolitical position as a crucial counterbalance to China, asserting its strategic autonomy. Their reasoning was straightforward. Regardless of politics, the country critically needed a system with sufficient reach to secure its skies against modern threats potentially coming across 2 hostile borders, China and Pakistan.
What's fascinating here is the S-400's development history, its capabilities. It's quite a story. It's a long-range surface-to-air missile system originated in the Soviet 80s. Went through a protracted development, collapse of the Soviet Union, technical challenges. After numerous false starts, finally approved by the Russian government in 2007, today it's widely considered one of the most capable operational defense platforms in the world. Its radar can detect targets up to 600 kilometers away, track hundreds simultaneously, and it can engage up to 36 targets at once using this mix of missiles with varying ranges and capabilities. For instance, the long-range 40N6E intercepts targets up to 400 kilometers away. Then the more common 48N6 family, still impressive, up to 250 kilometers. And for fast, agile targets like fighter jets, cruise missiles, the 9M96E2 range of 120 kilometers. These, plus a menu of others, can be loaded into whichever launch tube the user chooses. Makes each launcher like a Swiss Army knife of airborne destruction, really.
Exactly. And it's engineered to neutralize a wide array of threats: fighter jets, bombers, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, even claims to be effective against stealth aircraft. Though, on the stealth claims, maybe a little skepticism is warranted. Remember that incident in September 2019? An Israeli F-35 reportedly flew 200 kilometers through Syrian airspace, supposedly protected by S-400s, bombed Iranian-backed militants near Damascus, flew home undetected. It's a reminder that even the most advanced systems face limits. Real-world performance depends on operator skill, specific threat profiles, a whole host of factors. But as we saw in May, the systems certainly seem to work effectively for India against those Pakistani F-16s and the AWACS. And a critical advantage for India, given its vast territory, active tensions on western and northern borders, is the S-400's mobility. Each Indian S-400 launcher, all its command, detection, support equipment, is all mounted on mobile platforms. Allows the system to be repositioned quickly, adapting to changing battlefield conditions, responding to shifting threats across the country.
So it's not just about the range, it's about flexibility too. How does this fit into India's bigger strategic picture, like their cold start doctrine?
That's a key point. India operates in this complex environment. Threats from high-end aircraft, precision weapons, drones, and considering the China-Pakistan relationship, even coordinated attacks are possible. The S-400 plays a crucial role here, acting as the farthest-reaching component of India's layered missile defense. And its integration into India's larger cold start doctrine, that proactive strategy for rapid, limited conventional strikes and swift withdrawal, puts its role into context. The S-400 provides this rapid, robust defensive umbrella, protects those forces during and after such incursions, mitigating severe counter-retaliation. By 2021, the first S-400 units started arriving. Then, in 2023, India announced Project Kusha, its own indigenous system based on the S-400, designed for the same role. Highlights that persistent drive for self-reliance, even while acquiring foreign systems. While India is still waiting for the final 2 regiments, which Russia has been busy producing, India's operational use shows its unique ability to integrate foreign assets into a broader, domestically directed strategy. These S-400 units were quietly deployed strategically. Their first use in intercepting threats happened during the May 2025 conflict. These weren't tests. These are live, real-world engagements, high stakes, limited time to respond. And they worked perfectly against a variety of threats. Critics had raised concerns, endangering relationships with the West, disrupting procurement diversification. But when the fighting began, what truly mattered was whether India could defend itself. And it did. The S-400 fired, threats were neutralized, India's sophisticated defenses held.
This incredible success story, coupled with that deep-seated commitment to self-reliance, it brings us to the future of India's long-range defense. Project Kusha. You mentioned it, an ambitious, homegrown, long-range air defense initiative. Aims to rival foreign systems like the S-400 while consolidating India's push for strategic autonomy under Atmanirbharat. It's not just about defending, it's about complete independence in their most critical capabilities, controlling their own destiny in the skies.
Precisely. Project Kusha, developed by DRDO, is designed to be very similar in concept to the S-400, but tailored specifically for India's needs. It features a multi-tiered interceptor system, 3 distinct missile classes. M1 with 150 kilometers range, M2 reaching up to 250 kilometers, and the top-tier M3 engaging targets at 350 kilometers. These interceptors are expected to have advanced ESA radars, optical proximity fuses, active terminal guidance, enabling them to neutralize a wide array of threats, including fighters and cruise missiles. Crucially, they're also being designed to counter ballistic missiles, another layer of strategic defense. The system will be fully mobile, integrated across India's air and naval defense networks, forms a new high-tech layer in the country's broader missile shield, likely by the end of this decade. Prototype expected within 12-18 months, live trials up to 36 months after. Operational hopefully by the end of 2026. If delivered on time, Kusha replaces imported strategic systems, gives Indian commanders complete control over a long-range interception platform engineered and manufactured entirely on Indian soil.
Fully integrated with their C4ISR system, command, control, communications, computers, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, seamlessly woven into the broader military network. Real-time info sharing, coordinated responses. This project signifies a monumental step towards India's strategic independence in high-end air defense, ensuring they aren't reliant on any foreign power for their ultimate security.
Okay, so that covers the ultimate long-range umbrella S-400 now, Kusha in the future. But in the day-to-day chaos of modern air combat, the real heavy lifting, that often falls to the medium-range systems, doesn't it? These are the workhorses, the ones creating that essential breathing room we mentioned. They're not chasing bombers 400 kilometers away or swatting drones off the runway. They hold ground. They guard airspace over major cities, critical air bases, vital military convoys, other strategic infrastructure. They're fast enough for cruise missiles, agile enough for fighter jets, precise enough for multiple threats at once. In a layered defense, they fill that crucial space between the long-range gear like S400 and the close-in systems we'll get to. Whether they're near a radar drone in the desert or rolling with a mechanized unit in the northeast, always close enough tact, far enough to matter. In modern conflict, this is the tier doing most of the work, right? Engaging threats early, redirecting the enemy's plan, creating that essential window for everything else to function.
Absolutely right. And India has several workhorse systems in this category, each playing a distinct vital role. First, there's the Barak 8, jointly developed by India's DRDO and Israeli aerospace industries. This is one of India's most advanced, versatile missile defense systems, designed to intercept a wide spectrum of aerial threats with precision and speed. In Indian service, different names depending on the branch. SAM surface-to-air missile deployed 2021 with Air Force and Army for land-based defense. LRSAM long-range surface-to-air missile deployed 2017 with the Navy, designed for naval vessels. The missile uses a dual-pulse rocket motor, active radar seeker, gives it the ability to track and destroy highly maneuvering targets up to 100-kilometer standard, 150-kilometer extended range. Launches vertically from compact 8-cell canister modules, highly adaptable for ships, mobile launchers, static bases. Barak 8 is already deployed across key Indian Navy warships. Kolkata, Visakha-class destroyers, Talwar-class, New Nilgiri-class frigates, even the new INS Vikrant aircraft carrier. On land, it forms a critical mid-range tier alongside Akash and QRSAM. It's automated, engages multiple targets simultaneously, hardened against electronic countermeasures, can operate effectively even when jammed. In a real war scenario, Barak 8 gives India the ability to fight off saturation missile strikes, swarm drone attacks at sea and on land before they get too close. And while initially using Israeli-sourced American GPS signals for guidance, India is actively working to replace these with Navigshi India's own satellite navigation system, ensures complete indigenization, independent positioning data, even if international systems were compromised.
So Barak 8 is clearly the heavy lifter for the mid-range. How do systems like VLSRSAM or Spider complement it? Are they specialized?
Absolutely. There's clear specialization, builds redundancy, versatility into the system. Take the VLSRSAM vertical launch, short-range surface-to-air missile, India's first fully indigenous vertical-launched naval interceptor, developed by DRDO, based on the air-launched Astra Mark 1 missile. Its primary purpose: defend the Navy from sea-skimming threats at close range, those missiles that fly just meters above the water to avoid radar. It launches cold, propelled by compressed nitrogen from an 8-cell module, ignites midair, snaps into motion up to Mach 4. Its 8 cruciform fins, thrust vectoring, allow it to pivot instantly towards incoming targets. 50-kilometer range, guided by an Indian-built radio frequency seeker, data-linked command control, mid-course updates, precision strikes without needing foreign radar or external guidance. It can be deployed on ships as small as corvettes, ideal workhorse for India's expanding ocean fleet, lightweight enough for future unmanned or drone escort platforms. Testing began 2021. By 2025, proven its ability to launch from a moving warship, intercepting fast-moving targets at the edge of its radar horizon, cycling quickly for follow-up shots. With VLSRSAM, the Indian Navy now has this fast-reacting, domestically produced shield for its lower-tier defense needs, specifically tailored for the demanding naval environment.
Okay, and the Spider, that's Israeli-made, right? How does that fit in?
Right, the Rafale Spider medium range, extended reach version of the Israeli system, operated by India for broader, highly mobile airspace coverage with decent engagement depth. Fires the Python 5, short range, and the Derby, beyond visual range, up to 50 kilometers. Launches them vertically from canisters, with boosters extending Derby's range. Spider MR uses an elevated radar mast, deploys a longer-range surveillance radar than the smaller variant. Earlier threat detection, better altitude coverage. Mounted on mobile trucks, fully capable of autonomous operation, can engage multiple threats simultaneously. Implied it can operate while moving. Though not indigenous, still an important tool. Operates as a mid-tier intercept option. Plugs holes in radar coverage, operates ahead of the main defense line in fluid engagements. Offers flexibility, tactical advantages. Low maintenance, high reliability make it ideal for forward deployed units, especially where response time is short, threat density is high.
And finally, the QRSAM, quick reaction.
The QRSAM Quick Reaction Surface-to-Air Missile, fully indigenous mobile air defense system by DRDO. Purpose: short to medium range protection for Indian Army units on the move. Built for rapid shoot-and-scoot deployment fire and quickly relocate to avoid counterfire. Autonomous operation, high mobility. Development began around 2007, full testing from 2017. System consists of 6-wheeled mobile launchers, each with 6 canisterized missiles, plus dual vehicle-mounted radars. Battery surveillance radar, BSR, and battery multifunction radar, BMFR. Both are ESA systems superior tracking, jamming resistance. These radars, the command center, all packed efficiently aboard carriers. designed for fully autonomous operations, target acquisition, threat evaluation, automatic fire control, the missile itself. Solid fuel, dual pulse motor, mid-course inertial navigation with two-way data link, terminal active radar seeker. Precision at 25-30 kilometer range. Supersonic multiple targets. First successful test firing June 2017. By December 2021, completed validation trials, battlefield simulations, salvo launches, no escape zone engagements. Demonstrated full operational capability, direct hits on aerial targets. Confirmed ability to work effectively even under intense electronic warfare. Jamming. The Indian Army is using QRSAM to replace older, less agile systems like the Cold War-era Russian Kvadrat, doing so with a completely Indian system, further enhancing self-reliance.
Okay, now let's talk about the maybe the unsung heroes of air defense, the short-range systems. These are built as the absolute last line of defense, right? For that moment when times run out, destruction is imminent. They have to be incredibly fast, responsive, designed to protect individual high-value targets, warships, critical airfields, mobile battalions, not entire regions. In India's layered grid, they sit at the bottom rung, closest to the fight, some vehicle-mounted, rolling with armored columns, others bolted to ship decks. What they all share, though, is this immediacy, absolutely vital against modern threats, drone swarms, low-cost munitions. As we've watched the drone war in Ukraine and Russia, it's become so clear. In modern warfare, the kill chain doesn't end at 40,000 feet. Usually it ends like 10 meters off the ground, right where these systems operate.
Indeed. India has some very interesting systems in this category. The Samar Air Defense System, developed by the Indian Air Force with private industry partners, probably the most unique setup on our list. Dual purpose. Effective short-range air defense, and it cleverly uses up a huge stockpile of old, unused missiles. Based on old Soviet-era air-to-air missiles, repurposed for ground-based interception. The first variant, Samar-1, uses refurbished Vimpel R-73E infrared homing missiles. Mach 2.5 speed, about 12-kilometer ground-launched range, mounted on Ashok Leyland Stallion 4x4 vehicles, twin-turret rail launcher, fires single or salvo, went through 17 test firings before being fielded publicly during Exercise Astra Shakti in December 2023. Later saw real combat during Operation Sinandur in May. Successfully intercepted low-altitude threats near Jammu, Srinagar, Amritsar. It's a prime example of innovative repurposing.
So wait, India is essentially taking old air-to-air missiles and teaching them new ground-based tricks. That's wild. Talk about giving retired veterans a second career.
Precisely. Pretty clever, right? And its heavier counterpart, Samar-2, is based on Vimpel R-27 missiles, modified for semi-active radar homing and infrared guidance. Original air-launched R-27 could reach maybe 90 kilometers. Samar-2 expected effective ground-launched range is 20-30 kilometers. Lacks boosters when mounted on the Tatra T815 8x8 vehicles classic for off-road mobility, handling various payloads. Unveiled at Defexpo 2022, Samar-2 slated for live-fire testing in December 2024. Together, these two give India this adaptable, mobile, short-range air defense layer, built from recycled missiles, old trucks, effectively bringing old Soviet air-to-air tech to the modern battlefield. And they aren't the only ones doing this. Ukraine has its Franken-SAMs right. Old Sidewinders repurposed by America for ground launch shows a growing trend of battlefield innovation.
Okay, what else in the short-range category? You mentioned Spider before.
Right. There's the short-range variant of Spider, the SR Quick Reaction System, intercepts threats within 15-kilometer radius. Not just aircraft, but lower-cost UAV swarms. Precision munitions, too. India operates the original Israeli version, integrating it as a gap filler, fast response shield, especially near the western border. Unlike the medium-range MR version, the SR fires with 360 degrees of targeting, seriously reduces range, but gets missiles on target much quicker, crucial for those last-ditch intercepts. Also fires modified Python 5 and Derby missiles, but without boosters. Air-to-air weapons converted for ground launch. Lock-on after launch, lock-on before launch capabilities. Housed in canisters on high-mobility launch vehicles. Supported by mobile radar, command post tracking multiple targets. With its 360-degree coverage, high accuracy, shoot-on-the-move capability, Spider SR allows Indian forces to deploy flexible, reaction-based defense, where heavier systems like Akash or Barak 8 might not respond quickly enough. Not a long-range tool, but fast, lethal, smart, especially in contested or fast-moving zones.
And Barak 1. That sounds like an older system.
It is. The venerable Barak 1. Originally developed by Israeli Aerospace Industries in Rafael, one of the first foreign missile systems widely adopted by the Indian Navy, they needed a fast, agile missile for point defense, and primarily for ships against anti-ship missiles. Compact, fast, vertically launched, gave Indian warships that 360-degree interception envelope against aircraft and anti-ship missiles, each missile just over 2 meters long, under 100 kilograms, 22-kilogram fragmentation warhead guided by radar command control. Engages targets up to 12 kilometers away, altitudes up to 5.5 kilometers, reaches Mach 2.1 in seconds. For over 2 decades, Barak 1 served aboard India's INS Vikramaditya, Delhi-class destroyers, Shivalik-class frigates, formed the close and protective shell for some of the Navy's most valuable assets. But technology moves on. So did India. With the rise of VLSRSAM, the shift towards indigenous systems, Barak 1 is being gradually phased out, retired with honor after decades on the front lines of fleet defense.
Okay, so that covers the incredible hardware. The missiles themselves, long range, mid-tier, short range. Amazing stuff. But behind every single missile that launched in May successfully intercepted its target stood something even more powerful, didn't it? It was this web. Radar stations, sophisticated machines, invisible signals, all moving in perfect rhythm. India's missile defense wasn't successful just because of the individual missiles. It worked because of the system seamlessly connecting them all, like the central nervous system of a massive organism. That system is called the Integrated Air Command and Control System, or IACCS, and it is undoubtedly one of the most important military networks in the entire Indian arsenal.
Absolutely. The IACCS, built by Bharat Electronics Limited under Indian Air Force direction, is truly the brain of India's air defense. Its function is crucial. It ties together every major radar installation, every missile battery, command center, fighter squadron, into a single encrypted network. This lets commanders track threats in real time, match the right interceptor to the right incoming weapon, coordinate those impressive layered defenses across India's massive, complex borders, desert plains to high Himalayas. The system integrates seamlessly with airborne early warning and control aircraft, like the Nutra AE-WNC, flies over the battlefield, providing radar coverage hundreds of kilometers ahead of the front line, extends the eyes and ears of the defense system far forward, all that critical data, pushed through robust fiber optic lines, microwave relays, satellite links to control centers, enabling officers to make rapid, informed decisions within seconds, often under extreme pressure. Every single missile system we've discussed today, Akash, Barak 8, QRSAM, VLSRSAM, Spider S400, they all rely on the IACCS for guidance and coordination. If the Air Force detects a high-speed threat inbound from the west, the IACCS lets commanders decide in moments. Intercept with a Barak 8 near the border. Let the Akash team further inland take the shot. Or if the threat's too large, too distant, S400 can fire from deep inside the country, with full radar support, real-time data for the network. It's about optimizing resources, ensuring no target is missed.
And crucially, all this is backed by robust satellite support for redundancy, right? Backup systems, preventing single points of failure. The GSLET-7A military satellite provides dedicated communications across the armed forces, specifically enhances Air Force and Army capabilities, ensuring secure, high-bandwidth data transfer. Furthermore, India's own satellite navigation constellation, Navi-C like GPS but controlled entirely by India, adds another critical layer of redundancy. This ensures every system knows its precise location and its target's location, even if global systems like GPS were jammed or denied. It's an incredibly sophisticated, interconnected system designed to operate flawlessly even under the most intense electronic warfare conditions.
So that covers the heavy hitters of India's conventional missile defense. But with hostile nuclear-armed neighbors on both sides, there needs to be an ultimate blanket, an overarching shield over everything else, a final impenetrable layer of protection against the most devastating threats. And that's precisely what India's Ballistic Missile Defense, or BMD, program is designed to provide. This program is truly the culmination of decades of scientific ambition, geopolitical necessity, profound strategic foresight. Much of its foundational work, its enduring influence, can be traced directly back to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the Missile Man. While the program itself was formally established around 2000, its roots go even deeper. Into that missile revolution, Kalam ignited in the 80s with the IGMDP. His vision, technological brilliance, foresight for layered defense, deep belief in deterrence through mastery still forms the philosophical core of India's BMD efforts. He truly was decades ahead of his time.
This multi-tiered shield sounds remarkable. It's designed to detect, track, intercept incoming ballistic missiles while they're still in flight, both within the Earth's atmosphere, endoatmospheric, and outside of it, exoatmospheric, up in near space. The ultimate goal, the reason for its existence, is to protect India's major population centers, critical military facilities, vital nuclear infrastructure, from missile strikes launched by adversaries like Pakistan or China, preventing catastrophic damage, maintaining strategic stability.
Exactly. The BMD system is divided into two primary phases, each engineered to counter different classes of missile threats based on speed, altitude, range. Phase 1, the more mature component, is specifically geared towards defending against missiles with ranges up to 2,000 kilometers, the kind most likely launched by Pakistan. This phase uses two primary interceptors, the Prithvi Air Defense, or PAD, and the Advanced Air Defense, or AAD, missile.
Okay, PAD and AD, how do they work?
The PAD is an exo-atmospheric interceptor. Engages targets in the upper reaches of the atmosphere between 50 and 80 kilometers altitude. Essentially a hit-to-kill capability in near space. It's a two-stage missile. Solid fuel booster, liquid-fueled second stage, offers controlled, sustained thrust. Guidance system includes inertial navigation with critical mid-course corrections via data links from the powerful Swordfish long-range tracking radar. This radar currently tracks 600 to 800 kilometers. Planned upgrades push it beyond 1,500 kilometers soon, followed by active radar homing in the terminal phase for maximum precision. In contrast, the AAD is an endo-atmospheric interceptor built to engage targets within the atmosphere, altitudes up to 40 kilometers. Single-stage solid-fueled missile, also has inertial navigation, radio frequency seeker, active radar guidance. Both interceptors are fundamentally supported by the IACCS, which we discussed, and the Swordfish LRTR, which itself is derived from Israel's Green Pine system, but heavily indigenized.
And the idea of hitting a bullet with a bullet, that goes back to Kalam, too.
Well, absolutely. The idea of intercepting enemy missiles in flight wasn't born in 2000 when the program formally began. It was envisioned much earlier, directly during Kalam's stewardship. Under his leadership, DRDO didn't just build Prithvi and Agni for ethnic purposes. They built the very technological scaffolding that made interceptors conceivable, developing advanced seekers to differentiate targets from decoys, precise control surfaces for extreme maneuverability, warhead proximity fuses, sophisticated thrust vectoring, robust launch vehicle tech, complex radar networks tracking hypersonic objects. The PAE interceptor is, in many ways, a direct descendant of the Prithvi platform, brilliantly repurposed to destroy incoming missiles. Kalam wasn't just a project director, he was the intellectual, moral engine behind India's missile evolution. Understood, even in the early 90s, that strategic defense would eventually need interceptors. Believed in layered defense before it became common doctrine. His speeches, papers emphasized self-reliance, technical superiority years before Atmanirbhar Bharat and Cold Start became official policy. Even after becoming president, his legacy shaped strategic defense thinking. DRDO scientists often cite Kalam's early push for radar autonomy, indigenous secret tech, as direct enablers of today's interception capabilities. Laid the groundwork.
And Phase 2, that's targeting longer-range threats.
Yes, Phase 2 started in the late 2010s, more ambitious aim, counter missiles up to 5,000-kilometer range, notably intermediate and intercontinental range ballistic missiles, particularly from China. Phase 2 introduces two new interceptors, 81 and 82. 81 was successfully tested in November 2022. Two-stage missile, versatile, engages targets in low exoatmospheric and endo-atmospheric zones, intercepts medium-range ballistic missiles high up or closer threats in their terminal phase. 82, still in development, expected to tackle ICBM-class threats, likely high maneuverability at hypersonic speeds, an even greater challenge. Supporting these newer systems is India's floating test range. Massive 10,000-ton DRDO ship. Allows missile tests over the ocean, safely away from populated areas, commercial air routes. Serves as a mobile proving ground for BMD tech. Enabled India to conduct increasingly complex interception scenarios with live targets, pushing the boundaries of missile defense.
This raises an important question then. What's the current status of this incredible defensive umbrella? Is it fully operational? While full-scale deployment of the entire ballistic missile defense program is still pending government approval, the underlying infrastructure is already in place. These systems have been rigorously validated, deployment-ready units manufactured, so India already possesses what's described as limited operational capability, meaning they could activate this formidable BMD network very quickly if threat conditions escalate. It's fascinating how Dr. Kalam's influence just permeates every piece of this program. Prithvi-based kill vehicles, solid-fueled AAD, indigenous radar, autonomous data links. Not because he managed the specific program, but because he built the very machine, the whole technological ecosystem that made it possible. Really shows the long-term thinking needed for strategic defense.
And that's the profound impact, isn't it? India's ability to destroy a nuclear-capable missile mid-flight. It's more than just a triumph of engineering. It's the realization of a vision, the fruits of immense hard work, persistent investment. This was Dr. Kalam's core belief for India, a philosophy he articulated powerfully. Unless India stands up to the world, no one will respect us. In this world, fear has no place. Only strength respects strength. This defense capability is the embodiment of that strength, a strategic asset fundamentally altering the regional balance of power. It's easy to just list specs, right? But imagine the pressure on the ground crews, the radar operators during that barrage on May 10th. Every blip on the screen was a potential disaster averted, a life protected. That's the unsung heroism behind these technical triumphs.
That truly was an insightful deep dive. uncovering the incredible breadth and depth of India's layered air defense, the strategic vision driving it for decades. From the precision of Akash's indigenous success to the long reach of the S-400 and that ultimate umbrella of ballistic missile defense. It's a story of remarkable innovation, strategic foresight, unwavering commitment to self-reliance. I hope you had as many aha moments exploring these sources as we did.
And this proven effectiveness, especially of India's indigenous systems, it raises some truly fascinating questions for the future, doesn't it? How might this reshape regional power dynamics in South Asia, even globally? What does it mean for the international arms trade when a major player demonstrates such advanced, self-sufficient defense capabilities, potentially challenging the dominance of traditional arms suppliers? And what implications does this have for the very concept of deterrence in an increasingly multipolar world where strategic strength is being redefined?
Yeah.
Something for you to mull over, perhaps, and explore further.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. If you enjoyed this conversation, learned something new, please do like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you.